For the last few minutes, I've been talking to myself. And when I went to look at the comments, I'm like, why is there no comments? I forgot to hit the on button. The on button. I was broadcasting, but on our syndicator, you still have to say go. And I turn it off as a safety just because. So here we are. So anyway, I'm going to do this all over again, and we're just going to pretend that I didn't just spend the last 4 minutes basically talking to myself. Is that cool? All right. Anyway, good morning. I'm a couple of minutes late because I've spent the last few minutes talking to myself, but it is a beautiful day. Top two things we're monitoring. A quiet start to the day, but this afternoon, showers and thunder showers are going to be firing up. We'll be tracking those for you hour by hour. You'll certainly want to tie into that. Plus, the tropics are going to be waking up. No, I'm not trying to encourage this. No, it's not me trying to hype this, but rather the models are starting to hint at it. The long-range forecast that we put out certainly hints at it. So things are starting to come together. We'll have to eyeball that. But before any of that, let's just look outside and see what's doing. There's a shot in Brevard County. Cocoa, beautiful blue sky. It's a gorgeous start to the day. Here's a look at temperatures across town. We are in the low to mid 70s across central Florida. First warning, live Doppler radar is rain-free at this hour. We had some big thunderstorms yesterday, some big hail producers. Yeah, it was a nasty afternoon and evening. What about this afternoon and evening? How does that look? Well, we're going to once again fire up thunderstorms, though I think the overall coverage comes down just a little bit. Yesterday we were at 60%. Today we'll be at 50%. 87 degrees lunchtime temperature, 87, 88, 89, depending on where you are. We'll make it into the low and mid 90s, and then those big thunderstorms start popping up across central Florida and, of course, help to cool us off just a little bit. Before we get to the rain chances, certainly we want to know what the temperatures are neighborhood by neighborhood. So here's a look. This afternoon, notice the interior is going to be the hotter spots. 94 in Orlando, 93 degrees in Claremont, 92 degrees in the Villages. Along the beaches, more like near 90. And right on the beach sand, you're in the 80s, mid 80s. It looks much nicer for you, frankly. What about the rain chances, of course? Let's take a look hour by hour. This morning, we are looking good. We know that. Let's bring you full and show you lunchtime. When I see it for WESH 2 News at noon today, some storms bubbling up along the Gulf Coast, but the rest of us are looking nice and quiet. By 1, 2 o'clock, you can start to see popcorn showers and storms getting going. That persists through 4 o'clock. And I think when I see it for WESH 2 News at 4, we'll be tracking showers and thunder showers around the interior, but having not reached peak intensity. That's going to happen 4:35, 5:36. Right as the sea breezes collide. Much like yesterday, they'll gradually fade as we push closer and closer to sunset tonight. So that's a look at the day. 12-hour forecast giving us that 50% coverage of rain. All right, let's see. Good morning to you. Marie says, pretty stormy yesterday. Lightning hit a home in the neighborhood. Yeah, that certainly is a concerning thing, right? Mickey, good morning to you over on YouTube. Been on vacation the last 2 weeks. Oh, that sounds nice. Anne-Marie, good morning to you. Marie, good morning to you. Chris says more than 6,000 people had lost power yesterday, which that is true. Happy to report that that's certainly dropped. The good folks, the linemen and power crews, when we look at the power outage list for this morning, happy to say those numbers are certainly lower. This data courtesy of poweroutage.us. There's less than 100 people in each county. This is kind of a normal number. That's car accident, other random reasons. So no big concerns on the old power outage map, which is good. Yeah, at one point yesterday, we were at thousands of people without power. So there's that. For today, we'll be watching more of those powerful storms getting going. So if you're wanting to head out to the theme parks, Typhoon Lagoon, for example, the big wave pool, so inviting on a day like today, just watch for those showers and those thunder showers once again firing up, right? I thoroughly enjoyed those nasty storms, but I'm weird in that way, Carolyn says. I can understand that. Yesterday we had big storms for sure. When we talk about winds, look at some of the wind numbers from yesterday. Marineland up in Flagler County, 54 miles per hour. Windermere at 52 miles per hour. Horizon West and Four Corners right around 50. And we had gotten a lot of reports over the last 2 days' time from our friends in Horizon West about those nasty storms. So, it's been a nice active setup. That's going to continue for us today. No matter what you're doing, playing golf, heading to the theme parks, it's going to be an active day. Weather is going to be a medium impact for you. So morning rounds, definitely the better opportunities. If you're doing an afternoon round, I would just say try to get out early, because after that, obviously those storms are going to get in the way of us. Speaking of getting in the way, hopefully the storms do not get in the way, because tomorrow is a pretty big day. There are 2 launches scheduled from the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in a very short window. The first launch, 6:29 in the morning. That's a ULA, United Launch Alliance, Atlas V rocket. I believe it's the 422 configuration. So this, super, super cool thing. 70% chance of good weather because we're not expecting showers and storms in the morning. That's cool enough. But the 45th, I was almost going to say the 45th Weather Squadron, but they're no longer a part of the Air Force. They are part of the Space Force. So now it is Space Launch Delta 45, SLD 45. I have to learn the whole new thing. SLD 45 and the good Guardians out there. They're monitoring a second launch in the evening. This is a Falcon 9. All right. I believe this is a Korean satellite going up at 7:03 p.m. You're talking 2 rockets in a day. I don't know that that's ever happened. I know we were trying for it like 6 months ago, and one of them got scrubbed for weather or what have you. But how about that? 2 rockets in one day. I know it's a little nerdy, but I don't care. You're here, and this is a nerdy place, so we're going to talk about it. I will do my best to stream launches. Either way, super cool stuff. Super cool stuff. And the forecast for both looks good. I know that the ground crews for SpaceX have already headed out, and when I say that, I mean the drone ship, of course, where the first stage lands. Yeah, all of that. So, very cool stuff. Steve says, dealing with the tropics. Don't let your guard down. Remember that Hurricane Andrew formed in September of 92. It formed in August of 92, Steve. But I get what you're saying. Andrew is an August storm. And we had talked a lot about this, okay? When you look at the average named storms by month, June and July, very quiet. Now, of course, we have been particularly active the last few years, having a storm named in May. We did not have a storm named in May this year. But notice how, on average, you get a big uptick in storm names for August and September. Those are the peak months for hurricane season, okay? So, yeah, there's a lot going on. All right? Kenneth says, yes, the Korean Pathfinder. That's right, which I was trying to look. Is that the first time SpaceX has launched a lunar mission? I don't know the answer to that, right? Because it's a lunar orbit, right? Isn't the Korean Pathfinder sitting in lunar orbit for a year? Did I read that right? Anyway, I need to learn more. Yep. All right. So that's that. Enough of that, okay? All right, so we're definitely getting into the peak of hurricane season, and August is usually when we start adding those numbers, and I shared this yesterday. I'll share it again. Hurricanes usually start forming. The first hurricane climatologically is August 14th. Of course, what is climatologically when you're tracking it year by year, right? Normally, the first major hurricane happens about the end of August, so we're definitely there. But a reminder, we have been particularly quiet. I'll tell you right off the bat, there is nothing that we're tracking the next 5 days' time, okay? Nothing at all. But when you look at the different metrics, it shows just how slow this hurricane season has been. You're going to see, people are hyping, big hurricane is coming. And you're also going to see people saying, that hurricane season is going to pick up. And it is. But we have to remember, this has been slow even for average. We have had 3.25 named storm days thus far this year. The 30-year average through today is 9.1 named storm days. All right, so we are well behind the 30-year average. Last year at this point, we had 14 named storm days. All right, we were in a bit of a lull though in through July of last year, and then it picked up in August. So those numbers are going to start to dramatically climb. Whether or not this year's does, that's to be expected and tracked. 3 named storms, that's right on average. The 30-year average for named storms through today is 3. But another metric that I think does a really good job of truly tracking the numbers is ACE, the accumulated cyclonic energy, okay? Last year, we had an ACE of 13.2 through today. The 30-year average is an ACE of 10.4, and we are sitting at an ACE of 2.8. So even though we had 3 named storms, they were short-lived and they were very, very weak. So I just think it's pretty interesting stuff. I really think that we have been very, very quiet. But that said, the LRC points this out. We were discussing these last couple of days on Coffee Talk, and certainly we'll talk about it here. But I think that this tropical lull starts to go away. If we look at the long-range forecast, okay, mid-August, we're going to start to see some activity. And I think that we're going to enter into a roughly 5-week pattern, mid to late August, and then through September, like through mid-September. Yes, that's climatologically the peak of season, but we've been saying since March 1st, this is going to be an active little stretch in hurricane season, all right? And we do think that that's going to play out. So what do the models show? Operationally, I can just tell you, I looked at it very briefly. There's nothing going on really. So let's look over to the ensemble models and see what's doing, okay? So this is a look at the GFS ensemble. Timestamp is in the top right, all right? So we're just going to roll through time, August 4th, August 5th. Nothing going on, nothing really going on. August 8th, 9th, 10th, not really. Now you could start to see a couple ensemble members trying to show maybe something around Texas, Louisiana around the 11th or 12th of August. The LRC favors that, but they're not, the models aren't really going bonkers on it, right? There's August 16th, and that's about as far out as the ensembles go, and they're starting to show some members, perhaps, Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, around Florida, toward kind of the 17th of August. I could tell you, using the LRC, that we know that toward the end of August, if we look at our calendar here, one moment, here's the LRC for the month, right? We know that early next week, watching Florida, that's the PTC1/Alex recycle. I think it's just going to pick up moisture. Around the 10th and the 11th, watching Texas, Louisiana, that's not a hot spot. That's just an area of interest. But the 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, we start to watch the Mid-Atlantic and Florida. And I'm telling you right now, if there is any signal this year that should spark stuff, that's starting the more active stretch. And then looking into September, same kind of idea. We get a little bit of a break around Labor Day weekend, and then the 9th, 10th, 11th, the northeastern United States, and then around the 21st, 22nd of September, we start to watch Florida for the Florester recycle. So we have been quiet, but I do think that we're going to start to pick up some activity over the next couple of weeks. But a reminder, our WESH 2 hurricane season forecast has always, since March 1st, called for a near active season. Every other long-range hurricane forecast has called for a well above average season. I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong yet, but we have been consistent in our messaging. We have not changed this whatsoever, okay? The indicators were there, at least according to the LRC. I hope it's nothing big and destructive when it does get here. Well, we'll just have to see how it plays out, right? Hope it does stay quiet. Agreed. All right. So that's basically it. That's where we're at in terms of the overall forecast. What about the 7-day forecast? Back here at home, we know that it's been active in the afternoons. That's going to continue for us this afternoon. A 50% coverage of showers and thunder showers. High temperature around 94. Then the rain chances tick down just a little bit, and then they go back up next week. Again, that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Look for those days to start trending stormier and stormier because of that PTC1/Alex recycle. It's not a big signal, so not expecting it to do much in the tropics, but I do think it'll help to pick up some moisture just a little bit. I read that this season is similar to the 1950 season so far. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of analogs that we could look at. Mickey's asking anything showing on the BSR. I did look at the BSR a couple of moments ago before I got onto Coffee Talk. There's not really much here. Yeah, it's not really showing much, so I'm fine with it. Maybe some stormy-ish weather south of us, crossing over to Mexico, but nothing big. No big signals, which is just fine with me. Yeah. This is my opinion, not downgrading anybody, but you cannot predict Mother Nature again. This is only my opinion. But Steve, here's the funny part. My career is to predict Mother Nature. You can't do it perfectly. I'll be the first to tell you that. But that's like me telling you, Steve, you can't talk. Well, of course you can. I'm not going to tell you we're perfect, but I would say that there's pretty good empirical evidence, and we've got, listen, I've been in television 22 years, television weather for 22 years. We've gotten pretty good at it. It's not perfect, but, you know, we've gotten pretty good at it. So just for what it's worth. 3 inches of rain in Hamlin last, where's Hamlin? Can you predict a little more sun? Where is Hamlin, Josh? Anyway, all right. So that's where we're at. I will see you today for WESH 2 News at noon and at 4 on TV. We'll do another Coffee Talk update at about 3:30. All right? All right. Listen, be the sunshine in someone else's day. Windermere. I've never heard of Hamlin and Windermere. All right. Be the sunshine in someone else's day. I'll see you guys and gals